Yo, this is James Lights Out Tony, the one and only. You are tuning into Philly Fight World. You see me? BAM!
What up, what up? It's none only than me and Mr. King Sully back here on Philly Fight World to talk about a hot topic that just came out. Garcia and De La Hoya making comments about Boots Ennis and his fight with Stanionis. Before we get started with that, Sully, I love that every time we start the show, you get to see James Lights Out, Tony punch the guy. I don't know. I get excited every time that comes on. Just a side note.
So. That's my guy, man. James Tony, that's my guy.
Speaking of our guy, Boots is one of your guys out there in Philly grown guy. And we were just in attendance to the fight with Stanionis, went 6 rounds. And everybody's got what they got to say about the fight, their comments. Everybody's Monday morning quarterbacks after a fight. So Oscar De La Hoya, let's paint the picture for you. Oscar De La Hoya and Ryan Garcia. Garcia's got a fight against Rolly. May 2nd, I believe, against Rolando Romero in, I think it's New York, correct?
Yep, Times Square.
New York. And they had some comments to say about, his performance against Stanionis. You see the title on the bottom, not pound for pound worthy. That's for both Garcia and De La Hoya. Before we play the clip, what do you got to say on that, Rassoul?
Well, just like the title says, it was strange hearing De La Hoya talk about Boots, especially talking about pound for pound. I think if you ask any boxing, expertise, as they say, they wouldn't have Boots up there for pound. But there's always a but. He's a great talent, one of the best in his, in the division. But what I didn't understand, I didn't like, was the comments about who he hasn't fought yet to make that pound for pound list. And one of the names, of course, that he dropped was one of his fighters, Mr. Virgil Ortiz, of course. As if Boots, needs to fight him and beat him to be considered pound for pound. Like Virgil Ortiz is pound for pound himself.
Right.
I don't get it. I didn't understand the comment. And he mentioned Madronov, the guy that Crawford beat a couple months ago or last year. So the two names that he named for that Boots didn't face yet to be considered pound for pound, I didn't agree with that. But that's him. He's trying to pump up his fighters and try to make a fight. So he's doing his job as a promoter, of course.
No, I said the same thing. I said that's why you can't, take things with a grain of salt, because people are going to do things. Of course, they all want to sell tickets. They want to sell out arenas. They want to do that to get these fights and things of that nature. So, they're going to say what they got to say to make these things happen. But just to fill in what we're talking about, let's play the clip of what Ryan had to say in regards to Ryan and De La Hoya had to say in regards to Boots' dominant performance over Stanionis.
Like he just gets hit with too many punches.
He does.
People are now saying that, like, oh wow, he gets hit with a lot of punches, and that's something that you notice, I guess, from the beginning.
But he's a big boy though, so he's taken him well so far. Yeah. But in this sport, it just takes one good one to,
Was that pound for pound a quality performance for him to be put in that list now, or?
I wouldn't say so.
Because everyone quickly rushed.
Why would that fight put you in pound for pound category? No. He wasn't there before.
No, it's not.
If he beat like
Crawford,
somebody, Crawford, or not even Crawford, just there's a little bit more than that. I feel like, yeah, could.
You agree with that, Oscar?
Oh yeah, of course. You have to beat, in order to be considered the best pound for pound fighter, you got to beat some pound for pound, ranked fighters. You have Crawford, you have. Fighters like obviously Virgil and the fighter that Virgil beat, Israel Madrimov, guys like that. Those are the top guys that are guarding the gate. if Boots beats somebody like that, then consider him top 10, obviously. But he's a great fighter. I like his style. But a Ryan Boots fight is obviously a mega event because of Ryan.
Ryan, if you hit Jaron with those punches that Stanionis landed, what happens?
Well, I'm much more snappier than Stanionis, I didn't say his name right. But I'm way more ferocious than that guy. So it could be a lot. You never know in the ring. Some people can take good shots, some people can't. So you just have to see when you get in the ring.
Okay, Ryan, you're at the border. A lot of Mexican people right here.
Yes,
what
got a lot of
message
love
do you
out
have
here.
for?
So, your thoughts?
Well, as I was saying, before the clip, naming those two guys and beating those two guys, all of a sudden that will put you in the pound for pound list. I mean, come on, man. Come on, you talk about Virgil. He's a good fighter. Recently moved up to the middleweight division. But in my opinion, Boots beats him with no problem. Madrimov, little known before the Crawford fight. Crawford beat him. He did some good things against Crawford. Virgil walked through him. I mean, come on now. And on top of, you had Virgil, his last fight. He hit the canvas. You know what I'm saying? So he takes it to canvas. So, like I said, those two names aren't big names that Boots has to fight to be in that pound for pound. Does Boots have skills? Of course, no doubt. Everybody in boxing knows that. He's one of the most talented fighters out there. So if you want to talk about talent, he's one of the best out there. Does he have that signature fight yet? No, but the only reason why is because nobody wants to fight him. So what I mean, everybody try to duck from him in the past, but people starting to call out his name now, so we'll see. He just got to fight against Stanionis and he beat him. If Ryan is serious, he's got a fight coming up, like you mentioned, May 2nd. So if he gets past Rolly, hopefully they, the promoters could work something out and we could get a good fight. And I would love to see that fight. Love it.
Oh, we heading out for that one, so that's without question. We'll be in attendance. So you speak. That's why I had you go first because I'm long-winded a little bit. So to paint a picture out, you talk shit about who he fought, but nobody wants to fight him. It goes back to what Boots' father, Bozy, said. He said, we've been trying to fight all these guys, but nobody wants to schedule. Nobody wants to call. You want to call me when you thought I lost a step, when you thought you could get the edge on me. He said, when I'm trying to fight these fights, nobody wants to fight me. He said, everybody says the same thing that Bozy said. They said, nobody wants – I said, I've been asking to fight. Nobody wants to fight me, but then you want to hold it over my head. It's like a double standard. I said, you saying this, but you're not doing it. And then when you put me up against opponents, I'm delivering knockouts. So what is it? Is this all smoke and mirrors? Are you trying to – is this all smoke and mirrors? Like you're doing this just to say this because you don't really want to fight me? And then so you can have something to hold over my head to hold me back. It makes no sense to make comments like that. But then he's reaching out to everybody trying to fight them, but they won't fight them. Name a date, name a price, name a place, put the purse up, what it is, and get it done. It's really that simple. I said, but everybody dances around these questions and all that and makes comments and all that, but nobody's delivering. Like I said, I can keep quoting Bozy. He said it best. Everybody's running their mouth, but nobody's putting nothing up. Thoughts?
There you go. And you're exactly right. And Bozy was exactly right when he said, so we'll see. Finally, De La Hoya has called out his name. I think he better try to get past Rolly first. I think Garcia will win May 2nd against Rolly. If I was to make a prediction.
Mm. You think
like I said, after
you think it's a knockout or
I don't think so. I think it's a tough decision. It's a tough decision. Rolly's a big boy. he's a big boy, pause. But he he has some skills. I don't think he need to work a little bit on his defense skills a little bit more, but he has some skills. And Ryan's chin has been tested. It's been tested a couple times, so it's going to be an entertaining fight. But like I said, to put Ryan in the ring with Boots, I don't think it's even close. I don't think it's close. I don't think Ryan has enough for Boots. I mean, he's too methodical. I don't think he's fast enough on his feet, and I think Boots gets past him with no problem by KO.
Right.
If Boots knocked Stanionis out in was 6 rounds, I take that.
Not just
Ryan,
knocked him out. They
I
said
take
no, that's
him.
enough. They said that's enough.
I say 4 or 5 tops.
Yeah.
Not even
Well,
close. But I'm glad it's good talk. It got people talking, got us talking.
And the thing
we'll
is,
see.
like you said, let's get past this first. Like it's almost a bad thing. They're already looking past Rolly already. So if Rolly's watching this, I'd take it as an insult because they're skipping right past you right now and already talking about Boots. That's essentially what they're doing in the conversation. And Ryan admitted that Boots has more power, but he said, quote unquote, he's more snappier. And what he means snappier, he's kind of like way Ryan fights, it's like boom, boom, boom. There's no like leading up to the punch. It's like quick snaps with power. That's what he means by snappy. But everybody's got their own different fighting style. Boots can play a mixture of things. As we mentioned, he can switch southpaw without you noticing, et cetera, et cetera. And, but we'll see. Like I said, let's get past this May 2nd fight. Like I said, this is good for talk right now, and then we'll see how this plays out later on.
Mm-hmm. What I call Ryan the one-trick pony. He got that left hand, that left hook. Besides, other than that left hook, you don't really have anything to worry about. You talk about Tank. Tank beat him, knocked him out, and Tank is 130, 135, 140 maybe
down.
top. You know what I'm saying? And put him down. So you talk about somebody who's a natural welterweight and really could even probably be right now a middleweight. Testing his chin, not even close. Boots walks right through him. But we'll see. Like I said, we'll see with this fight. May 2nd. If he gets past him, start the talk then. Start it up and get the fans involved, get everybody talking like we talking about it now, and they got to make that fight happen. It's a big fight. I think
it's a must have.
Yeah, I think it's a great fight for both of them. It's a great fight for Ryan because he can say he legitimately stepped into the ring with somebody that has skill, and then I think it's a great fight for Boots because it finally gets him a name. If anything, Ryan has a name.
And De La Hoya said another comment there. He said it's going to be a big fight because of Ryan. And like I said, I know you caught that at the end because of Ryan. And like I said again, Boots is not known because nobody of value wants to fight him. Nobody wants to fight him. Nobody wants to take that L as you could possibly. If Boots was beatable and you really weren't concerned with him, they would fight him. It wouldn't even be a question. They would fight him. So be that as it may, it feels like the goalpost has always moved for Boots. And that just makes his journey much more. He's still in the prime of his life. Keep on fighting a good fight, Boots, and we'll see if this fight actually plays out or whatever else fight plays out. Norman, whoever else it is. But this is definitely the talk of the conversation right now because it's a good one. Final thoughts before we get out of here?
Just like I said, just excited about boxing and whole. We got a lot of good fights coming up. Seem like every month there's a good fight, a watchable fight, which was boxing was dead at a time. We had to wait months. We probably got like a good two fights out of two good fights out of a year.
Right.
But like I said, I'm looking forward to that card. That's a good card they got up in New York. It's going to be in Times Square, so that's even, that's interesting. First fighting bout in Times Square outside. So it should be interesting. It's good for boxing. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm glad he's starting to make a snap back. because the MMA kind of started taking over. So yeah, it's coming back with these boxing matches to keep pumping them out. Rassoul, I'll get up with you soon. We'll talk some more. I'm sure some more news will come out in the boxing world. Till next time, I'm Blake Anthony. This is Rassoul, and we'll see you guys next time, Philly Fight World. And you guys know how we always end this. Big James, take us home.
Yo, this is James, Lights Out Tony, the one and only. You are tuning into Philly Fight World. You see me? Bam!